Any prior convictions in which there exists any known constitutional defect? Mr. Daly and Mr. Glazier?
No, Your Honor.
All right, on file number 22-21197FH, the probation department has computed the minimum sentencing guidelines to be 9 to 23 months, and that is month 7. So, Mr. Daly, do you agree with that computation of guidelines? And then, Mr. Glazier, on your file, the probation department computed the minimum sentencing guidelines to be 0 to 17 months. Do you agree with that computation of guidelines?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Hartung, do you dispute the computation of guidelines on either of the files?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So before the court passes sentence, we'll start with file number 22-21197FH. Mr. Daly, is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of your client?
Your Honor, he's here today. He's always been very pleasant to work with, easy to communicate with. But when he left the jail and before he reported back to sentencing, he got overwhelmed with life again. His mother got ill, he had problems, and there's no way to put a good spin on it. He did not handle this correctly. He wants to be a good citizen. He wants to be productive. He doesn't want to continue doing what he's been doing. But when he was released from jail that time, that's exactly what happened. As a result of that, I don't think his cooperation worked out to the level that Mr. Hartung and the prosecutor's office believed it was going to. But at the same time, I don't believe that a prison sentence in this case is going to accomplish any purpose for anybody, particularly when you take a look at the time it's already served. So we would ask the court to consider if there is any confinement left that would be done to Waterloo County Jail rather than prison.
Okay. Mr. Kuhn, on this file, is there anything you'd like to say on your own behalf?
I would just like to apologize for not being able to cooperate with the rules and regulations given to me upon my release last time. My mother had fallen ill. I thought that I was stepping out to a bigger financial stability, and I wasn't, and it was hard to comply with the orders given. And before this, I did create a complete rehab on my own recognizance. I went in. I didn't know that the charges of deliberate manufacturing were over my head. I was going to college. I had a job. I just started renting to own before all this occurred. I do apologize. I was working to live a stable and prosperous life, and then this happened. I wish I would have known that I had the charges that were hanging over my head, because I would have come and worked to get them taken care of quicker than what I did. I do apologize.
On this file, Mr. Hartung.
Very, very brief. Right. This is an older file. It occurred. We were hip deep in the pandemic, and what I'm saying only applies to the charge that Mr. Daly's on. The prosecution is bound by the Hillebrew Agreement in this matter. The court is not. If the court wants to offer a sentence different than what was discussed at the time of the plea, the court has the right to do so. Mr. Kuhn has apologized in court today. Mr. Daly has put his spin on that. He was given very strict instructions by the court when he was given a PR bond when he pled, and he did not follow those instructions. And I wanted to make the court aware of that. If the court wants to change the recommendation or change the sentence different than the recommendation in this particular file only. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Glazier, on file number 23-21317FH, is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor. I think on Mr. Daly's file, if I'm counting right, he would do, what did he get, 180 days credit on that?
Yes, sir.
And so he'd have to do 265 if you follow the recommendation. So he's got, eight, whatever that is, and that's less time. On mine, if you give him the recommendation, he's going to have to do much longer, Your Honor. He's only getting 100 days credit. And I don't want to sound too morbid here, but we're sitting around talking about days and months, and what we're talking about, Your Honor, is part of a man's life. I'm getting ready to go down to the hospital today because my niece has been taken off off life support and is going to die today. And so I want to fight for every day that I can. And I think Mr. Kuhn probably does, and I think we all do. So I'd ask you to give him credit for time served on mine and maybe save him a few days.
Okay, Mr. Kuhn, anything on this file you'd like to say on your own behalf?
Just at brass knuckles, times are changing. You know, people are getting shot all around, everywhere you are. You know, if you don't have anything to protect yourself, then how are you going to protect yourself?
Mr. Hartung?
Nothing on this file, Your Honor.
All right. In determining the appropriate sentence in this case, the court has considered the seriousness of the offense, your history, the principle of proportionality, the statutory penalty, the cost of confinement, the sentencing guidelines, the report and recommendation of the probation department, as well as what has been said upon the record at this hearing. The criteria and reasons for the sentence are the nature and gravity of the offense, the discipline appropriate to its commission, deterrence against repetition by you and by others, the potential for reformation, vindication of the law, and protection of society. On file number 22-21197FH, sent to the court that you will serve 12 months in the Lenawee County Jail. I'll give you credit for a total of 180 days. You are required to pay a $68 state cost and $130 crime victim assessment fee and restitution in the amount of $325 to the Michigan State Police Department Rhino Unit. No term of probation. On file number 23-21317F8, it's sent to the court. You'll serve 106 days in Lenawee County Jail. We'll give you credit for time served. Required to pay a $68 state cost and $130 crime victim assessment fee. Ms. Adams, I do not have my appellate rights.
Okay, I'll print one.
So my staff's gonna bring in their appellate right paperwork for you, and there's gonna be a set for each file. I'm gonna have you initial and date, one copy of each, and that'll go back in my file, just acknowledge you received the paperwork. The other copies are for you. If you wish to appeal either of these sentences, you would fill out the information on the form and mail it to the address listed on the form within 42 days. Mr. Kuhn, life is never easy. All of us face stresses. They may be different for everybody, but you have to work to build a community around yourself that will support you, okay?
I understand that.
Mr. Glazier, I'm so sorry. And
That's
for your
all right.
family. And we're all set with Mr. Kuhn.
Thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just have a seat and they'll bring the advice rights in just a minute, Mr. Kuhn, all right?
All right.
Mr. Glazier is gone. All right, and Mr. Daly, you don't have any others?
No problem. I'll say that. Thank you, Judge.